Hey golfers, here are a couple of my favorite drills for improving your slice. So the slice boils down to a outside in path with a face that is open to the path. Essentially, if the club was moving through space, the club face is pointing open compared to the path it's traveling on. So what usually happens is, in order to get the club pointing somewhere in the direction of the target, the path ends up getting way outside in. This can be accompanied with a big scoop at the bottom, hang back, some other moves that cause overall contact consistency issues as well as loss of distance. So there's two things we have to work on with these drills. We have to work on getting the face more closed, and we have to work on getting the path a little bit more inside out. Now, I usually recommend working on the face closed first, and there's two ways we can do it. One is by twisting the club a little bit more, so doing something like this, which I refer to as the motorcycle move. The twisting of the club is going to be a very gradual movement of the wrist, and then it becomes more of a rotation of the forearm down to the bottom. But it's a gradual movement. It's a gradual rotating of the club, just like that. Now, this is where some golfers have a hard time feeling the rotation of the forearm or the movement of the wrist. So a device like HackMotion giving you some feedback as far as the timing and the amount that you're doing can be great for overcoming this pattern. A lot of golfers will think that they've flexed it and then lose it on the way down. So we're going to let ball flight be our ultimate guide. If we can get the ball to fly pretty straight and or curve left, then we know that we have a club face in either a neutral or a closed position. But if the ball keeps curving off to the right, then we know we haven't closed it enough. So the first drill is we're just going to do a little 9 to 3 where we're going to bring it back. We're going to then close the face, and now keeping it closed, we're going to rotate, and you'll see that that ball has a nice tiny little draw to it because I made sure that the club face was closed. This will help you combo getting good impact conditions based on just your body. A lot of people use the body as the steering wheel, so the arms become the power source and they're kind of like chopping down, and then their body gets out of position to try to help correct that. Well, if you do this little pause drill or this little static drill where you bring the club back and then preset the club, my arms are in a pretty weak position. I'm not going to be able to get a lot of power from them. So then I can get more of the power from my body. And again, I should have a nice, gentle little curve just like that. As I get more comfortable, I can take bigger swings. Now, if you find that you're doing this and you feel like you're twisting it and it's still curving off to the right, then our main other option is to look at your grip. So here's how the grip closes the face. When I'm swinging this club, as I approach impact, the club is going to be working away from me and it's going to be pulling on me quite hard down at the bottom. Well, the more that my hand gets pulled, it's going to tend to go into this more neutral lineup. So if I start with my hand on top, kind of like this, then as the club pulls on it, it's not going to rotate a whole lot. It's going to stay there. So that means that I would have to physically, manually twist it. On the alternative, if I had my hand in this position, as it gets pulled, it's going to naturally rotate. So the more that I put my hands on the side of the club, then as my arms get pulled, if I let them, they're going to rotate even more. So if I feel like I'm twisting and rotating and it's still curving off to the right, then I want to double check from the face on camera to make sure that my grip isn't too much on top with the thumbs pointing straight up here. I want to make sure that my hands are a little bit more on the side with the thumbs pointing more over towards my shoulder. So that should help you get the ball either going straight or curving to the left, but then we also have to address getting the path a little bit more out, in to out. I like a few visuals for those, so we're going to set up a couple stations. All right, so some visual path drills. I got a lot going on here. I don't recommend you use everything here when you're practicing, but I wanted to show you some different options. Basically, we're going to use the visuals to help us understand where we want the club to swing, and by doing so, that'll help you get some body feels of the body or the arms working in a way where the club would be coming more from the inside. Now, naturally, coming from the inside tends to open the face, so that's why you need to have the ability to get the face closed either with the motorcycle movement or with having proper grip strength. But now let's talk through, we got 3 different visuals. We got one where we've got 2 head covers, about 6 inches in front and then about 3 inches out, and about 6 inches in front and 3 inches in. This creates a little visual gate where I can try and get the club to swing through that gate. Now, in reality, it's not going to go dramatically out that way, because at the same time I feel like it's swinging out that way, my body is turning, and that tends to neutralize the path or straighten it out. So that would be option one, down on the ground. It's the least invasive. Option two is I've got a club, and I've got a alignment stick, and I've just put a pool noodle on it to make it a little bit more obvious on the camera. And I like it to be down in the ground, a little bit lower than this, but I won't take the time to kind of readjust it. I would want it to be, let's say, about a third of a club or a little more than a grip height. So I get that a little bit lower. And just to make it easier, I'll gradually decrease the feedback there. So now the classic over-the-top movements tend to come from spinning your shoulder blades, having your shoulders go more this way, as opposed to leading with your lower body and keeping your shoulders more back to the target or keeping them closed longer. If I do that, if I get up to the top of the swing and I go this way with my shoulders, you'll see that the club will be coming from a high position, kind of like this. Now that works with an open club face. I can chop down and the club will be pointing at the target, but because there's a big difference in where the face is pointing and where the path is traveling, I get that slice curve. So if I have this here, and we'll come back to this one, but if I have this here, then as I go up to the top of the swing, if I can figure out a way to get the club to come more from inside of this rather than hitting it, that's going to give me the path that will allow me to hit a nice little draw. Mechanically, the movements that are going to do it are either a little bit more leading with the lower body, or the shoulders feeling like they're coming a little bit more closed, or the arms feeling like they're coming a little bit lower, or more from the inside, as opposed to everything spinning that way. If I combo that with the closing of the face, I will either hit a very straight shot or a tiny little draw. That was more of a straight shot, but we'll take it. Okay, so option two is putting the stick kind of close to the golf ball, kind of like this, similar to the old classic inside approach training aid. Now I find that some people benefit from having the object even higher up, closer to shaft parallel. So if I was going to look at this checkpoint when I get halfway down, or when I get to where the club is parallel to the ground, the more that the club is outside the hands, then as it comes through, it's going to go outside in, and the more that it's inside the hands, the more it has the capability of coming from the inside. So I've got a pool noodle here that I'm going to basically point just outside of my hands. So it's a few inches outside of my hands, kind of like this, so that if I got there and I got outside in transition, this would hit. It gives me a visual of trying to get the club to come more from this deeper position, or more from the inside here. For a lot of you, that is going to feel like, in order to do that, you have to feel like your shoulders stay closed a lot longer, and in doing so, I'm able to sequence or lead with the lower body even earlier. Now, there's one caution that I'll point out here, which is a lot of golfers use the over-the-top move in order to get good contact. So as you're working on this drill, when you swing over the top, that naturally shifts the swing and moves the contact point further forward. So if you go from an outside-in swing to a more neutral or inside-out swing, that moves the contact point further back behind the golf ball. Now, I'm going to balance that by getting my arms a little bit more in front and getting my weight shift onto the front leg. That's why a lot of people who swing outside in, which moves it forward, also hang back, which now lines it back up at the golf ball. But I'm assuming that what'll happen is the first few times you do this, you don't make that secondary adjustment. You just change the path, coming more from the inside, and that can move your contact point backward. So that's my one little cautionary tale, that this will initially get us hitting straighter shots, but it might make us hit a few thin and fat shots in the short term. I would start by maybe hitting the ball off the tee, off of a little tee, just to give myself a little extra margin of error for having low point backward, so that I can get the feeling of what a solid club face and path feels like. And then I can work on just getting my my weight a little bit more forward, or getting my hands a little bit more ahead of the ball. Both of those will help with contact. So with this one, I'm going to try and bring the club more from the inside. So, and there we got a draw, close the face a little bit, so I got a little bit extra pull, but came well from the inside, so got a little bit of a pull draw, which for this task, we're happy with. So if you're going to improve your slice, you have to fix two things: closing the club face and getting the path to come more from the inside. I find that visuals for the path are really good at helping with the feel. And then I find that a device like HackMotion or some extra feedback, or just making sure you read ball flight curve, is really good for finding out or for identifying what your club face position is. If your club face is off, work on that first, either by getting a little bit more of a twisting motion of the club or a little bit more of the rotation of the forearm, either by using the arms that way or by setting up with a stronger grip to encourage the natural movement. But either way, that should help you with your slice. If you're still struggling with other areas of your game and you want more help, we got loads of drills. So if you want more drills, please click the link in the description below to get a list of the drills that will be most helpful for your golf game. Like that one.